delighted to reward somebody tonight with the Marie Felton Award who conveys that message.
Thank you. It's my honor and privilege to introduce our next award recipient, Ms. Lisa Sloane. And Lisa and I have worked together on housing issues for 25 years, so we go back a long ways. I want to ask a few questions before I talk about Lisa. So how many in the room, if you could raise your hand or beat your horn or tink your glass, know about the Mass Access Housing Registry? Get some people out there. Okay. So the Access Registry is an online registry of accessible housing in the Commonwealth. It's a wonderful resource. Okay. How many people know about the Home Modification Loan Program? Not as many people, but some, yeah. Okay. Offers low-interest loans for homeowners to make their home accessible, a bathroom, a ramp, somewhere to get in the house, take a good shower. How many people know about the Community-Based Housing Program? Some more people. It's capital subsidies to developers to develop accessible units that are set aside for people to come out of institutions. So how many of you know that Lisa Sloane was instrumental in making all those things happen? Not as many people. Lisa was the person who took the lead in designing the program models, the policies, the procedures, the guidelines. And as a result of her work, thousands and thousands of people have benefited from those 3 programs. How many people know about the Money Follows the Person grant? Well, that's a Medicaid grant. More people know about that. That is going to transition in a 5 to 6 year period over 2,000 people with disabilities and elders from institutional placements. And BCIL is a very active partner in that. So when the Mass Health Department, who was applying for the grant, had put in an operational protocol, there was a housing section that had to be developed in that protocol. And G. McGuire, I think, was the one who said to me, "Who can write that?" And I said, "Lisa Sloane, of course." And so Lisa was the architect of the pieces of the housing protocol that went into the operational protocol, and we were fortunate enough to get that grant. But she wasn't just the person who wrote that. When we got the grant, we needed somebody to help to implement it, and Lisa was the person who did that, and did that for the first year until we were able to hire somebody. So a couple of years ago, a couple more things, so you get to know a little bit more about Lisa. So a couple of years ago, Governor Patrick signed a piece of legislation that asked 18 state agencies to better coordinate housing and services. 18 agencies signed that agreement, a memorandum of understanding to say that they would work together. And they put together a working committee that I and many other state agency people will put on, and told us, okay, now you've got to develop a plan over the next 3 years about how you agencies are going to work together. And we all looked at each other and said, how the hell are we going to do that? And so he said, well, we need somebody who's going to help us. And we said, who can do that? And we said, Lisa Sloane. And so Lisa Sloane has really been the person who has assisted our committee in really looking at what is permanent supported housing. How does that benefit people with disabilities who want to live independently in a community? And also looked at what they were doing in other states and how that information would benefit for the people who are working in the committee. And she's been our support person for over 2 years on that. And then how many people know about, and this is even for people who really know housing, and they're probably all sitting on the table here. How many people know about the Section 811 Project Rental Assistance Program? Yay. Okay, so a couple of grants came out of HUD, and they were for this new program, and it provides rental assistance, subsidies to help people who are low income, and in our state, that means people who are trying to get out of institutions into housing in the community. And the person who helped to help us to get those grants was Lisa Sloane, which resulted in over $11 million coming to our state to help over 190 low-income people get housing. So, who is Lisa Sloane? So she's bright, she's very smart, she's hardworking, and she's very dedicated. She's dedicated over 30 years of her life to housing housing consultation, training, and planning. And her work with Mass Rehab in the Mass Rehab Commission in the 1990s was really about working with the independent living centers and helping them to drive forward the mission of housing and housing advocacy. She solidified her commitment to consumer control, consumer choice, community-based options for people with disabilities in support of housing. And it comes from a philosophical foundation that the ILCs also embrace to this day. So she is my housing mentor. She's my go-to gal. When anybody has to ask me about housing, I go, let me go ask Lisa, she'll know. She's always behind the scenes. She's never one to boast or brag, although I've heard some things about her from her family tonight that I didn't know about, but she's not one to take the limelight. She's a hidden jewel, but tonight she's going to shine, and I give you my friend and my colleague.
Sloane has presented the BCIL Marie Felton Award for her decades of dedicated leadership and advocacy for housing and disability rights inclusive to all, exemplifying Marie's commitment to excellence, service, and action.
Bill, sort of tells us that we've been nominated. He says, we get to pick who introduces us. So it's kind of a setup, just so everybody gets that, right? It's a win-win. Thank you, Karen. Thank you, BCIL, Bob Masters, and the Felton family. I'm truly honored. Karen, in 1990, when Dukakis lost the presidential race and unemployment in Massachusetts was rising, Somerville had a new mayor, and I was out of a job. You took me on, let me loose on the ILCs, and more than 20 years later, it is still my touchstone, teaching me more and giving me more than I ever get in return. There is a lot of focus and discussion today about the growing income inequality in the United States. For the lowest income households, our housing policy reflects this inequality. If I asked you in which housing programs the United States federal government invested the most, what would you guess? The tenant-based housing Section 8, the tenant-based Section 8 program at $19 billion? How many guessed that? Or the whole HUD budget, including homeless programs at $49 billion? As many of you already know, the mortgage interest deduction for homeowners wins at $101 billion annually. Owning one's home is a strong American value and an aspiration. Approximately 2/3 of American households live in owner-occupied homes. This is a good thing. I'm a homeowner, and most of the time, ISTAMs aside, it is a good thing. But if you are extremely low income, in housing speak we'll say ELI, you probably cannot not only not afford to buy, but can't even afford to rent a basic apartment. According to the National Low-Income Housing Coalition, there are only 30 affordable units available for every 100 ELI households. Furthermore, way too many people with disabilities are beyond ELI. If SSI is your primary source of income, then your income is 20% of area median income. That means that 80% of the households in your area have more income than you do. 2014 data that the Technical Assistance Collaborative, my friends here on the left, my colleagues, will release this spring, indicates that there are nearly 5 million Americans between ages 16 and 64, who's going to check that with you on the way, whose sole source of income is SSI. These individuals have a national average income of $750 per month. Since the national average cost of a one-bedroom apartment is $780 per month, it should come as no surprise that in January 14, communities across the U.S. counted over 360,000 homeless individuals and families, the majority of whom have disabilities such as serious mental illness, substance abuse disorders, traumatic brain injuries, and co-occurring disabilities, and that hundreds of thousands of other people with disabilities are living in state psychiatric and other institutions at a national average cost of between $243 to over $600 a day. That could pay for an apartment, right? As Bill and Karen know, I am both very flattered and honored and a little bit uncomfortable receiving this award. It's pretty obvious why I'm flattered. As we've all heard tonight, Marie Felton, and seen and heard, was a true and authentic person, deeply committed to improving the lives of people with disabilities, people who many in the community prefer to ignore and shunt aside, to live in institutions and nursing facilities. I'm honored to join the people who've, tonight, two fabulous women who won awards this evening or were nominated, and people in the past, my friend Charlie Carr, Joe Belil, his lovely wife Linda, Paul Spooner, and probably many other folks that I'm missing who are in the room this evening. Perhaps haven't met. I'm a little bit uncomfortable because, I'm really uncomfortable, which should be accurate, because I truly love what I do, and so it feels strange to be rewarded for it. And because this kind of work is never individual work. I know my work is not really my own, but always the product of collaboration and teamwork, whether it's working with a great team at TAP, my friends over here on the left, or working with a network of local, state, and national organizations that share our values and mission, including all of the ILCs in Massachusetts who have worked, continue to work so hard and have worked so hard in the past to help people move into the community. I especially want to thank my family for coming tonight, including my mother, who came from warm and sunny Florida, believe it or not, to join us. My brother and sister-in-law, my wonderful husband and daughter. I will finish up, hopefully in under 3 minutes, with a special shout out to Mr. Henning. When I was about 10 years old, I did some kid-size environmental organizing, but my organizing skills kind of went underground until I met Bill, a former farm worker organizer who has never been afraid of asking a legislator, a state or a federal official to support a cause, who knows when to occupy and refuse to leave an office, and when to compromise and declare victory. And I've learned a lot from him in all of those ways. Tonight, I think not only of Marie Felton, but also, as everybody else is, I think of Sybil and her advocacy on her own behalf and behalf of others to live in the community rather than in an institution. I hope that everyone here tonight will leave for a warm, affordable home of your choice, and that you will all work in your own way to help others to do the same. Thank you.